Have a look at the map of Jammu and Kashmir. What is shown in green is a part of Kashmir which has gone to Pakistan in 1947. In the 47-48 war, Indian Army had reached somewhere halfway in between up to a place called Muzaffarabad, which is the capital of Pakistani occupied Kashmir. But our rulers at that point of time called them back because they wanted to have peace with Pakistan, which again which did not take place. This portion is an area which Pakistan has considered to China. It has been given over to China. Part of Jammu and Kashmir given to China because China is constructing a Karakoram highway from here to the Chinese province. So it is no more with Pakistan. This is a portion shown in red is a part of Kashmir which was captured by the China in 1962 war called as the Aksai Chin, and it is still today with them. And the latest infiltrations, latest incursions which has been taking place from the Chinese army are taking place somewhere in this area. And this is rest of the remainder Kashmir, which is with India. Percentages have been shown there that 35% of Kashmir has gone to Pakistan, 19% to China, and remainder Kashmir is with our country. Kashmir, which is with India right now, can broadly be divided into three parts. The region of Leh Ladakh, which is a very large geographical area, the region of Kashmir Valley, that is a valley around Srinagar, which is there, and region down south, it is called Jammu Udhampur area, which is the remainder Kashmir. Now, when you look at this region, when we talk of Kashmir, we should talk of all these three regions put together. But what is happening today is disproportionate importance is given to the Kashmir Valley, and this is what is the problem. Have a look at the Kashmir Valley which is there. This is the Kashmir Valley. Kashmir Valley, this is a valley and surrounded by the mountains. This side is Jammu and Udhampur area and the road goes from here. And this is a valley which is a plain area in between. It is 130 kilometers long and about 30 to 40 kilometers broad. This geographically represents less than 15% of area of Jammu and Kashmir. And in terms of population, it is less than 20% of the population of Kashmir. And it is this area which dominates the discourse or the policy on Kashmir. There are 4 districts here in this area, Srinagar, Baramulla, Kupwara, and one more I left out. These are the places. This is a part of Kashmir. This is habitated by Kashmiri Sunni Muslims who are habitating them, and the Kashmiri Pandits were in this area who were thrown out from here. Now it is only Kashmiri. While the hills surrounding, this is again a part of India, only Shamsabari ranges. People here are definitely with India, and people on the ranges of Pir Panjab are also with India. It is only the Kashmir Valley which is not with India. Now, if you look at statistically, these are the statistics of 2001 because population census of 2011 till to date has not been published. Why? We can talk about it later. Kashmir population is nearly 1.1 crore. It may have increased by another 10%. So if you see the population, Kashmir has got 54% of population, Jammu 43%, and Ladakh 2.4%. If you take it religion-wise, Muslims are 67%, Hindus 29%, Buddhists 1%, and others 2%. Now, among the Muslim population, who are the Muslim population? If you take the subdivision of Muslim population in Kashmir, 41% is the Kashmiri Sunni Muslims. All other Muslims, that is Pahadis, Jammu Muslim, Gujars, Bakarwas, Ladakhi Muslims, they all with their mind are with India. There is no problem with this community. It is only this part of Kashmiri Muslims who with their mind are not with India. A bit of historical background. Lord Mountbatten signed the Instrument of Accession, and it says that on 7th of October 1947, this accession instrument was signed. Liaquat Ali Khan, who was the then Prime Minister, said that we do not recognize it. That is the Pakistani stand. They said we don't agree with this, but they were not concerned. And this is the extract of Constitution of 1956. which says that Kashmir will always remain integral part of India, and this is exactly what Mr. Prashant Bhushan of Aam Aadmi Party was talking about. And such anti-nationals should definitely be shown their place. Then, if you look at the stand taken by the two countries, it is like this. Simla Agreement of 1972 is the agreement which is in vogue now. No agreements before that matter. Plebiscite, referendum, all has now gone down. We have decided, Pakistan and India have signed an agreement at Simla between Mrs. Indira Gandhi and Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, which says that henceforth Kashmir dispute will only be guided by the Simla Agreement. And the Simla Agreement in nutshell is end the conflict, it has to be done bilaterally. There is no question of UN coming into this, no question of America poking their nose into this. It is only between the two countries, and most important is respect the line of control, LOC. Actually, Mr. Bhutto had given a undertaking to Mrs. Indira Gandhi when the prisoners were released that LOC will be converted into an international border. But Bhutto, when he went back on his word. That is why Mrs. Indira Gandhi had released those prisoners. So now UN resolution is irrelevant as far as purely the legal angle is concerned. And this is this map, delineation of line of control, which has been signed by India and Pakistan. This is the line of control which has been signed by both the countries. So this is the legal status. But what is the Pakistani stand as on today and what the Indian stand? Pakistan does not accept accession. It doesn't want status quo. It does not. It wants Indian troops to be withdrawn, and it wants demilitarization and governance. While Indian stand is exactly opposite, that no change to boundaries is acceptable, reduction of troops will not be done, etc. Now, India and Pakistan have fought number of wars on Kashmir. We fought a war in 47, we fought a war in 65, fought another one in 71, and last war fought was the Kargil war in 1999. In addition to that, there's another operation that is going on called Op Meghdut, which is going on in the Siachen Glacier. This is all a part of Kashmir. In addition to this, we have been fighting constantly in Jammu and Kashmir, an operation called Operation Rakshak. And if you remember, Operation Parakram, which took place, again the cause was Kashmir only. We almost went to war, but now this is what has happened up till now in Kashmir. About nearly 47,000 incidences, civilians killed, 14,000 soldiers killed, 5,984 terrorists killed, so much, total killed so much. This is the statistical data. Now we will very briefly see as to how the terrorism or the proxy war started off in Kashmir. I had mentioned earlier that after independence, after 1947, Kashmir was completely quiet, and it was quiet till almost 1972-73. After 72, when Pakistan decided to launch Operation Topaz or Operation Karakoram, that is when they started infiltrating people into Kashmir. Initially, they were infiltrated into bureaucracy, they were infiltrated into Kashmir government, they were infiltrated into all the institutions of Kashmir. And violence as such started off somewhere after 1984. Initially, Indian Army was not involved into anything. Indian Army was only guarding the line of control for an attack against by Pakistan. But it is after 1987 that Indian Army went into what is called as the anti-infiltration posture, which meant that you started stopping terrorists who were coming from the Pakistani side. There were youth who were exfiltrating into Kashmir, from Kashmir into Pakistan, and they were trained terrorists who were infiltrating from Pakistan into Kashmir. So this posture actually is coming to play somewhere in 87-88. This is how the terrorism started growing in our country. So, there is first phase, 1971 to 77, mushrooming of madrasas, brainwashing of students in madrasas, breeding ground for terrorism, and the biggest push was given in 1977 when General Ziaul Haq, who later became a dictator of Pakistan for nearly 10 full years before he was killed in an air crash. He was the one who actually gave it the biggest push. Now, second is the period which is there from 1989 onwards, in which proxy war started off somewhere in 88-89. Kashmiri youth went on in large numbers. Kashmiri Pandits were thrown out of Kashmir Valley by threatening them. Lot of people, even other people went outside, and situation became so serious that Indian Army was deployed for anti-infiltration operations as well as anti-terrorist operation. It is when this Indian Army came into play. The third stage is 1994 onwards. At one point of time, every year 3,000 to 4,000 new terrorists were infiltrating into our country. 3,000 to 4,000 terrorists were being killed per year. The residual strength of militants at terrorists at one point of time was about 7,000-8,000, which kept on falling down and down. The number of violent incidences were very large at one point of time, and Indian government led at one point of time by Mr. V.P. Singh, who was the Prime Minister, thought that Kashmir was going to secede away from India. But it did not happen because of good work done by the Indian Army. If you read the Kashmir, Pakistan tried to send Afghani mujahids and foreign terrorists into this, because Afghanis had done a wonderful job of sorting out Russia, which was a superpower at that point of time. Russia was defeated only once in their lifetime, that was in Afghanistan. The Afghanis had defeated the great British army in the 18th century when sun never set on the British Empire. And it is Afghanis who have defeated even Americans also, who are, even now when they live today, Afghanistan is nowhere near political solution. So they thought that if they could defeat three superpowers, they could even fragment India into many states. And the same Afghani mujahids have come into India and led a very vicious anti-terrorist campaign, campaign of violence. But it is the Indian Army which is held on to Kashmir because of its bravery. This is one aspect which is simply not highlighted. Our liberal politicians think as if it was done by diplomacy, as if it was done by peace talks. No, their back was actually broken. This is what needs to be highlighted. At one point of time, when they found that Kashmiri militants were not doing a good job, they infiltrated a lot of foreign terrorists. And there was last elections which was held in 88, which was the rigged election by Dr. Farooq Abdullah, again a Kashmiri politician. That is one causes which is supposed to have led to increase in terrorism in Kashmir. In 96, we held the first elections after 1988, in which again government of Farooq Abdullah was elected, and this is supposed to be a very free election. What has happened was that they wanted to increase, the militancy arc was there basically in Kashmir Valley, and they wanted to come down south in the area of Jammu and Udhampur, and wanted to go up north in the area of Ladakh to increase the arc of militancy. This is what they tried in 94. In 99, when they realized that they could not do it, they launched the Kargil operations, because the militancy or the terrorism in Kashmir was coming to an end. This resulted into a lot of Indian Army being diverted on the Ladakh area. Today almost 20,000 more troops have been deployed on the Ladakh borders to guard that border, to ensure that again another incidence of Kargil nature does not take place. Post-Kargil, militancy level again went up, but this seesaw battle with terrorism continues. Thereafter, after 1996, we had two more elections, and present government which completed almost 4 years of its thing. The third generation most dynamic chief minister took over, and the media had really gone gaga, because Dr. Umar Abdullah had made one of the best speeches ever delivered in our Lok Sabha, but he has not been able to govern the state of Kashmir as efficiently as you have been. We started off a lot of initiatives like people contact between Kashmiris on either side of the borders, a bus service was started from Uri to Muzaffarabad. Another bus service was started from Punch to Rawalakot, and this bus service started off somewhere in 2003 when I was serving in Jammu and Kashmir, and every week 1 to 2 buses full of Kashmiris from either side cross over into Pakistan and India and meet each other. Now what is happening now is agitational terrorism is what is going on, stone terrorism is what is going on, and the nature of now nature of terrorism is now changing into Kashmir. For just 2 minutes we'll highlight as to how Pakistan has been supporting the proxy war which is going on in Kashmir. The support which Pakistan has been giving to this. Okay. I am Brigadier Hemant Mahajan, who has put in nearly 37 years of service in the Indian Army. I was commissioned into 7th Maratha Light Infantry, one of the famous battalions of Indian Army, in June 1975. During my service, I have taken part on all the operations in which Indian Army participated from 1975 onwards. I have taken part on anti-terrorist operation in Jammu and Kashmir, anti-infiltration operations which Indian Army did again on the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir. During the peak of terrorism in Punjab, we were involved in Operation Raksha in Punjab. In addition to this, I have served on the Rajasthan and the other Pakistani, Indo-Pakistan borders. I have served on the Indo-China borders, on the Indo-Myanmar borders, and we have taken part in various operations which took place, including serving in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. For all the action that we did in Kashmir, my battalion was awarded unit citation and about 19 gallantry awards. Again, when I was commanding a brigade in Jammu and Kashmir, again a lot of awards were won by my brigade. My last 4 years of my service in the Army, I joined Army War College, where I was teaching officers of the rank of colonels in the higher command course. After my retirement on 31st January 2009, I've been writing very regularly in various newspapers on various facets of national security, both in Marathi and in English. I've been taking part on various debates on the TV channels, in the Marathi TV channels, 24 hours news channels, Hindi TV channels, and also some of the English TV channels. In addition to this, we are taking part in many seminars based upon national security. I'm a member of 2 think tanks, Center for Advanced Strategic Studies based in Pune and Forum for Integrated National Security, which is based in Bombay. One is involved in talking on various facets of national security, on many talks which are coordinated by various NGOs. For my service in the Army, I was awarded Yuddha Seva Medal for the good work that I had done, a gallantry award in Kashmir. In addition, I have been awarded Chief of Army Staff's Commendation Card. Swatantra Veer Savarkar Rashtriya Smarak asked me to I am on the working committee of Swatantra Veer Savarkar Rashtriya Smarak, and on their behalf we have produced some films covering various facets of national security. The films include India's external security, that is how we should deal with China and Pakistan. Second is how should we deal with our borders during peacetime with Bangladesh, with Nepal, Myanmar and Sri Lanka. How should we look after the coastal security? We face serious internal security problems. We have covered 4 of these. These are the extent, the Naxalism in our country today is increasing exponentially, how do we counter the threat of Naxalism or Maoism? Kashmir proxy war is still going on. What else can we do in Kashmir? Northeast India is being converted into a Bangladesh. How do we meet the challenge of stopping Bangladeshization of Northeast? And how do we stop bomb blasts that are taking place in rest of the country? All these films are in English. One film is in Marathi, in which we have spoken as to how do we take on the challenge of the Chinese dragon. In addition, there is one film on motivation. One young soldier, Lieutenant Vijayan Thapar, how he sacrificed his life. It's a film which will motivate the younger generation. I am sure that you will enjoy listening to these films, and you should pass it on to, you should pass on the contents of these videos to as many friends and relations as possible, so that the spirit of national security is imbibed by every citizen of the country. Jai Hind.